Did you know that for the Persian Gulf War, there was playing cards made with pieces of equipment, and the people involved with the war were made? The most sought after and rarest card made was of Saddam Hussein. I'm Tyler Luscombe, and today I will be talking about the Persian Gulf War. A reason to listen is that this war was very short, and it was the last war to take place before the Cold War ended. And it was also viewed globally by the world with the news. Credibility statement is that I have been interested in warfare since I was little, and I've been doing a lot of research with reading books and websites recently to learn more about the war. And today I'll be talking about the events that led up to the war, the events during the war, and then what happened after the war and how this war eventually led to taking place with the global war on terror. So in 1980 to 1988, Iraq was at war with Iran. Kuwait was helping fund the war by giving Iraq money to help them go to war with Iran. So in 1988, after the war ended, Iraq was in a very large debt to Kuwait. Kuwait was also known for its oil fields. So in 1990, Iraq invaded Kuwait to annex them and get rid of their debt and also take control of their oil fields. Their reasoning for invading was they were saying Kuwait was illegally getting oil from the Rumaillah oil fields. So on August 2nd, 1990, Iraq invaded Kuwait, and it was deemed unconventional by the UN, and they were ordered to leave by January 15th of 1991, or they would go up against the US and a coalition of 34 other countries. U.S. troops would later then be sent to Saudi Arabia in case they had to be involved. Later, on January 17th of 1991, the U.S. and allies would begin launching missile attacks on Iraq oil supply fields and air defenses, crippling the Iraqi defenses. On January 18th, Iraq retaliates by sending missiles to Saudi Arabia on American forces and to Israel. Israel would decide not to retaliate or take any part in this. The United States did not invade until February 24th of 1991, and this would later be called Operation Desert Storm. The U.S. invaded Kuwait and parts of Iraq 120 miles west of Kuwait. The Iraqi army lit the oil fields while they were retreating out of Kuwait, causing the air to be filled with black smoke and fire. And you get a lot of famous pictures of that. The coalition, they only lost 31 tanks, mainly by friendly fire. Meanwhile, the Iraqi army lost around 3,300 tanks. Iraq was known for their Scud missiles that they used on other countries. Many of the attacks that the U.S. faced were false alarms, but it kept the American soldiers and other countries' soldiers awake and on alert a lot of times, causing them not to get good amounts of rest, and they were always scared of the attacks, and they had to wear these special suits to keep them safe, and they were hot, and it caused them to be uncomfortable in the desert. One of the main events that is known in the Persian Gulf War is the Highway of Death. It was a 6-mile stretch on Highway 80. It was where some Iraqi troops are trying to flee Kuwait on this highway, but most of the people on the highway were civilians trying to flee the war zone and the death that was coming. The U.S. saw multiple Iraqi vehicles, mainly military vehicles, running along this highway, and they got intel that it was Iraqi troops there. So they proceeded to bomb and strafe the 6-mile stretch, leaving burned cars and burned bodies everywhere. And it showed the brutality of the war, and it was televised globally. At the end of the war, it was totaled up that the coalition lost 300 troops. Meanwhile, Iraq lost 8,000 to 10,000 troops. Saddam Hussein did remain in power, The U.S. and Great Britain would patrol the skies with their Air Force, and they made the airspace above Iraq a no-fly zone. Iraq would refuse weapon inspectors to enter Iraq, so the United States did not know of the weapons that they were making or that they had, and they would continuously shoot at United States and Great Britain aircraft, causing tensions to grow. Then after 9/11 in 2003, because of these events that Iraq was causing, they didn't know of the magnitude of weapons that they had, and they were known to be involved with terrorist organizations. It helped lead to the Iraq invasion in 2003. Some interesting facts that I'm going to go over about the war is that the ground war only lasted around 100 hours. The USSR, even though it was during the Cold War and they were against the United States and their longtime ally was Iraq, they were agreeing with the United States and the coalition of the other 34 countries, and they were going against Iraq. And the coalition of 35 countries is the largest coalition and allied group of countries in a conflict since World War II. That is it for today, and I hope you learned a little bit more about the Persian Gulf War.